October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday. The New York Stock Exchange is in a panic. Frantic investors have scrambled to unload their stocks at any price. Everyone wants to sell. No one wants to buy. Suddenly, even the most gilt-edged securities are practically valueless. The stock market crash has come, and the Great Depression has begun.
The stock market crash of 1929, an encounter, an exchange, and an exploration of America's economic catastrophe by Klay. The stock market crash of 1929 epitomizes an insufferable encounter with an unstable and volatile fiscal environment, the exploration of America's journey towards financial stability, and an exchange of dynamic new ways to help the country rebound into economic prosperity. On May 5, 1792, 24 stockbrokers meet under a buttonwood tree on the corner of Wall Street. They signed the Buttonwood Agreement to establish the beginning of the New York Stock Exchange for their newly founded country. As time passes, the New York Stock Exchange grows stronger and larger, attracting many Americans. By the year 1919, World War I has ended, and its victory brings tremendous confidence to the American people and their economy. This results in the Roaring Twenties. During the early and mid-20s, people are looking to rejuvenate the nation into a prosperous and happy place to live. Money is free-flowing, and people indulge on things such as eating out, going to nightclubs and bars, enjoying pastimes like dancing and socializing, along with high-value items such as cars and education, which are growing in popularity. As spirits soar throughout the 1920s, so does the success of the New York Stock Exchange. The post-war optimism leads way for hundreds of corporations, such as steel production, building construction, retail, automobile manufacturing, and even railway companies to invest their businesses into the publicly traded market. This, in turn, allows hundreds of thousands of American citizens to invest their savings in the stock market. In fact, banks prosper because many people take loans to invest in the market. The economy is booming. Unfortunately, in the short days ahead, the country is coursing towards an insufferable encounter with an unstable and volatile fiscal environment. By the year 1929, Herbert Hoover is inaugurated as the 31st President of the United States. With his election comes even more success, known by many as the Hoover bull market. While some analysts speculate a potential crash, others deny the possibility of such an encounter. Throughout the preceding summer, markets soar to all-time highs, and on September 3, 1929, investors see the Dow Jones reach over 381 points, its highest since its creation. But this financial endurance can simply no longer continue, and is forced to correct itself. The months of September and October of 1929 mark a subtle decrease in the stock market stability. Even though this confrontation shows America its risks, nothing can prepare the nation for what is about to occur. On October 24, 1929, the stock market faces a devastating drop. It is known as Black Thursday, and it marks the very beginning of the stock market crash of 1929. Investors across the nation lose over 12%, and much of its devastation is felt around the world. The encounter with such an unstable and volatile fiscal environment shakes countless people. Black Thursday, so contrary to the environment of the Roaring Twenties, makes no one willing to buy, but everyone needing to sell. This confrontation leaves America in complete chaos. The following day, investors actually profit, with the Dow Jones increasing 0.58%. This brings a false sense of confidence in comparison to the day before. People hope that this proves the crash is over. But in reality, this disastrous encounter is far from its end. The following weekend is filled with chaos, and it sets the scene for an awful week on the stock market. October 27th, Black Monday, devastates the country with the market sliding a staggering 13%. Of the entire crash, this day is the most crippling to the market and its investors. This cartoon epitomizes how people had saved money and invested it into the stock market. When the market crashed, they lost everything. On Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929, the stock market crash ends, but not before sweeping the market with an additional 12% decrease, which affects the entire nation and its economy. This cartoon illustrates how devastating the crash was and how it left many people with nothing. Americans lost homes, cars, savings, and much more. America must now explore its journey back towards financial stability. The decade to follow is known as the infamous Great Depression, a time brought on by the crash in which people live in horrible poverty. With stocks valued at only 20% of their original price, the nation is in shambles. In addition to this, 1/3 of the population is unemployed, and everybody is struggling to support themselves. Americans must also explore a completely different lifestyle in order to survive. Many businesses must close since people are unwilling to spend their money, and people cannot educate themselves because they simply cannot afford it. Crime rates increase as more people become desperate, and as a whole, the country is in a very bad situation. But this lifestyle is part of America's journey towards financial stability. But a great nation does not succumb to adversity. It prospers as a whole through exchanging new ways and ideas to rebound and rebuild.
My fellow citizens, this broadcast tonight marks the beginning of the mobilization of the whole nation. Over 1,000 towns and cities have been well organized and experienced unemployment relief committees, community chests, or other agencies for efficient administration of this relief. The amounts sought by the committee in your town or city are in part to provide work, for it is through work that we wish to give help in keeping with the dignity of American manhood and womanhood.
Along with President Herbert Hoover rallying the citizens of his country, many other ideas were exchanged which allowed for a recovery. The revitalization of the United States banking systems allows United States banks to reopen, yielding an increase in fiscal stability. The inauguration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt brings the policy of relief, recovery, and reform to the nation. America's entrance into World War II allows for unlimited possibilities for a brighter economic future. The beginning of World War II brings an increase of industrialization and production of U.S. goods. The stock market crash of 1929 historically impacts the United States of America. Millions of people lose a lifetime of savings. For wealthy investors, lose money in the market crash, which trickles down to affect the entire population. The crash transitions the country from exuberant lifestyles to an adversarial era. The 1920s is a time of affluence and prosperity, but the stock market crash brings devastating changes. Ultimately, these changes lead the country into the Great Depression. This time period, filled with poverty, remains one of America's most debilitating times in all of its history. Finally, the stock market crash completely changes the nation's perception of investing. Today, economists, scientists, and historians alike continue to study the stock market crash of 1929 and base economic theories off of the lessons learned from this catastrophe. In conclusion, the stock market crash of 1929 perfectly epitomizes an insufferable encounter with an unstable and volatile fiscal environment, the exploration of America's journey towards financial stability, and an exchange of dynamic new ways to help the country rebound into economic prosperity.